Did you guys see that Batista movie? Something about the zombies? I just saw it a few days ago. I was faded out my mind and I watched it. I enjoyed myself, I'm not gonna lie.
Fans expect a substantial payoff when it comes time to execute.
Some of these stories be fired. The whole Mandy Rose story, that was cool.
Potential undercard stars such as Ricochet, Aleister Black,
They've been doing
King Corbin, Chad.
You know I hate what they did to Ricochet and Aleister Black. Those are two high hard hitters. Like, what are y'all doing with them? What's good? Dark Knight Gang in the stand. Gang. Bro, today we're about to do a video from WrestleMania. This one right here is titled 11 Reasons Why Millions Have Stopped Watching WWE. A lot of you guys said, Brandon, what's up with the SmackDown top 10s and the Raw top 10s? Well, we're gonna see this video right here. You guys are gonna understand why millions stopped watching it and why I did too. No, I'm kidding. I haven't stopped. I just needed to take a little break. I'm gonna get back on it very soon. But anyway, we're gonna see why millions have stopped watching WWE. Hopefully WWE can turn it around. We're going to see what's up. I'm ready to hop on into this. Everybody have a good day. Have a great day. Continue to go after all your goals and dreams. You already know what's up. Bro, I love y'all. Start leaving reaction requests for me down in the comments. You guys stopped leaving reaction requests except for like WWE. Other than that, I need other videos to react to as well. You feel me? But yeah, man, I'm ready to hop into this video. Everybody have a great day. Let's see what's up. Let's see why millions stopped watching. Let's go. Maybe, hold on, before we do. Of course, COVID played a part. Obviously, COVID and the crowd being gone. Other than that, I don't know. Let's see. Let's go.
Number 1, a worthless women's division. The WWE can boast about its women's revolution and how the company has come a long way from the Divas era, and while the days of Playboy pillow fights and bra and panty matches seem to be over, the WWE continues to treat its female athletes as an afterthought. Whether it's female performers disappearing for weeks at a time, the WWE randomly pairing women into tag teams, and yes, we do know the WWE does this with its men, that doesn't count as treating the men and women equally, or a lack of building new stars, the women's division is pretty awful. Other than Bayley, it's difficult to think of any female performer who's been booked well. Raw's women's division went into cruise control once Becky Lynch took time off for maternity leave, despite the presence of Shayna Baszler, Asuka, and the opportunity to call up NXT standouts such as Rhea Ripley.
You know what? I actually kind of agree with this dude. Because the women's division, they have a lot of great talent. And I wish they would book them differently. You know what I mean?
Remember the time that Shayna plowed through about 5 women in the Elimination Chamber match? What happened to that? How did WWE not carry on that dominance? Well, no matter how much Stephanie McMahon brags that the WWE pushes its female wrestlers as much as the males, the weekly product says otherwise.
And Shayna Baszler! No! And Nia Jax slips! Happened again, the Nia.
And no throwing Sasha Banks versus Bella into the main event on night 1 of WrestleMania.
That was fire, though.
Make up for a year of badly booking its women. Number 2, endless rematches. Did you miss that pay-per-view match between 2 of your favourite wrestlers? Well, chances are you won't have to worry because the WWE will air it the next day on Raw or a few days later on SmackDown. That's only the beginning though, as the WWE repeats the same bout a few more times before airing it again on pay-per-view. The WWE's recycling program is a testament to the sheer laziness found in WWE creative. Rematches can be exciting when done properly, whether it's adding a stipulation to a subsequent match or bringing in a tag partner to help out in a singles feud. However, several weeks of the same wrestlers competing with the same results is a formula for failure when it comes to wooing fans. Number 3, breaking up good teams.
Oh, they do this all the time.
WWE's tag division has been poorly booked for some time, but never has there been such an explosion of teams splitting up. Breaking up tag teams is a time-honored tradition in professional wrestling as it's been used to effectively set up big feuds with the intent of creating 1 or 2 single stars from that team. When done right, a tag team split can create some riveting.
I know this has nothing to do with nothing, but did you guys see that Batista movie? Something about the zombies? I just saw it a few days ago. I was faded out my mind and I watched it. I enjoyed myself, I'm not gonna lie.
While most fans watch friends turn into foes. Well, the problem, like many WWE storylines, is a lack of planning and follow-up. There have been numerous instances of badly booked breakups, including the Iconics and Heavy Machinery.
Heavy
In the
Machinery,
Iconics'
for
case,
sure.
the WWE reportedly wanted to push Peyton Royce as a single star, but that never happened. Instead, she was inexplicably paired with Lacey Evans. Why would you split up an established tag team that could help the women's tag team division only to form an inferior team? Even worse, the Royce-Evans tag team quickly became overshadowed by Evans' feud with Charlotte Flair. As for Heavy Machinery, the WWE had a popular team that provided a mix of power wrestling and comedy, then split them up when Tucker turned heel.
For no reason, too. And now where's Tucker?
His best friend with the briefcase.
While it's questionable how much interest the fans would have had watching the two-men fight, they never gave him a chance as Tucker was drafted to Raw. Number 4, ignoring fan favorites. Now, we've talked about the WWE splitting up popular teams, but the problem goes even deeper than that. The WWE's refusal to push wrestlers that fans get behind, whether they're faces or heels, has never been more apparent than with the situation involving the Hurt Business. While MVP's work with Bobby Lashley helped Lashley complete his journey from poorly pushed uppercard wrestler to monster main eventer, it's doubtful many fans saw Cedric Alexander and veteran Shelton Benjamin getting strong thanks to their inclusion in the Hurt Business. Naturally, the WWE split the group up just when they were going over strong. The Hurt Business is the biggest example of popular wrestlers who've been thrown on the scrap heap, but there are others including main eventer Braun.
The Hurt Business? I guess they could have done that a lot differently, huh? I mean, even though I'm a casual fan, I only looked at, the top 10s. The Hurt Business could have been something huge, but I feel like WWE, they broke that up at a good time because were y'all really invested into the Hurt Business? I wasn't. I mean, I like Milk Dud. I like Cedric Alexander. I like Baby Milk Dud. I forgot his name. It is what it is. But that's what I'm saying. I wasn't too invested into them. You feel me? Let me know down in the comments if you were invested into the Hurt Business. I wasn't too much.
And undercard stars such as Ricochet, Aleister Black,
They've been doing
King Corbin, Chad.
I hate what they did to Ricochet and Aleister Black. Those are two high hard hitters. Like, what are y'all doing with them?
Shinsuke Nakamura. Number 5, pathetic payoffs. We've all heard the phrase, it's not so much about the destination as it is about the journey, and in some respects this applies to storytelling. However, no matter how good the build-up for a story is, fans expect a substantial payoff when it comes time to execute.
Some of these stories be fired. The whole Mandy Rose story, that was cool.
Potential money feuds that had terrible payoffs. The first is the heavily featured feud between the Golden Role Models team of Bayley and Sasha Banks. The two gelled well as two arrogant heels that fans knew were going to eventually end up fighting. While they were forced to drag this feud out longer than anyone wanted, rumor has it they were hoping to have fans at 2020 SummerSlam, and when they didn't happen, that kept the feud going. Well, while that's excusable, the WWE painted themselves into a corner when they finally had Bayley turn on Sasha Banks, putting the two in a Hell in a Cell match for their first match. As fans know, Hell in a Cell is usually where feuds end, so when Banks beat Bayley, there was nowhere for the feud to go, and they took the cheap way out by Bayley saying she'd fight Banks again, but only when she was ready and on her terms. The next fizzled feud was The Fiend vs Randy Orton. Despite The Fiend's pinfall loss to Goldberg at 2020 Super Showdown, Bray Wyatt's demonic doppelganger had been booked strongly, so the WWE cleverly booked the two in a Firefly Inferno match, thus giving Orton a way to beat The Fiend without pinning him or making him submit. Afterwards, the WWE teased The Fiend's return and managed to keep fans guessing when he'd return for revenge. Incredibly, they didn't have The Fiend return until Fastlane, setting up a high-profile match for WrestleMania 37.
Didn't he lose?
Unfortunately, the match as was anticlimactic as it could be, with Bliss turning heel on The Fiend and Orton pinning The Fiend clean in just 5 minutes. Not to mention with just one RKO. Fans are still wondering what happened at WrestleMania to cause The Fiend to lose. Did Alexa Bliss find a way to rob The Fiend of his powers? Did he have somewhere he needed to be in 10 minutes? Pathetic payoffs to promising programs to anger and alienate your audience. Number 6, Pork.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with that, bro. I haven't watched Raw or SmackDown in a minute, but I kind of want to see.
The WWE's writers have a number of problems ranging from laziness to having to deal with Mr. McMahon's mercurial mind that sees him change things with no apparent rhyme or reason. This means that even the best of ideas tend to run into obstacles when it comes to creating and executing long-term storylines, an essential element of keeping fans tuned in every week. One of the biggest examples of WWE's poor planning is Otis's unlikely and downright shocking Money in the Bank briefcase win at 2020. The angle, while surprising, was a good direction for Otis, a character who had gotten over thanks to his storyline romance with Mandy Rose. However, as the months went on, it became clear they had no idea what to do with Otis having the briefcase in his possession, and they ran an overbooked angle where The Miz won the briefcase thanks to a meaningless heel turn by Otis's partner Tucker. Thankfully, they did get some mileage out of The Miz winning the briefcase, but Otis winning it was poorly thought out, and the feeble follow-up damaged his character, as well as the fans' already shaky faith in the WWE's capability at crafting long-term storylines. Number 7. Boring feuds. We've already looked at the WWE's difficulties giving fans satisfactory payoffs for its storylines, but feuds deserve a mention for the WWE's difficulty in managing them. They occasionally get a feud on the right foot, such as 2020's Orton vs Edge feud. However, the WWE doesn't understand the basic outline of any drama. Like Banks vs Bayley, they put Edge and Randy Orton in a last man standing match for their first encounter, then expected fans to see them wrestle to see who the best wrestler was in the greatest match ever. Fans also find themselves frustrated by the lack of interesting undercard feuds. Number 8. Awful announcing. The WWE has more than a wrestling problem. It has an announcing problem as fans debate what
Hey, this dude going off on WWE.
product in the ring or the men calling the action.
I like the
Cole isn't
announcing.
as much awful as he is consistently mediocre. Cole is the epitome of someone who phones it in, relying on cliches. Corey Graves has his moment, but like any potentially entertaining announcer, you can't help but wonder if Vince McMahon has him wearing a shock vest that sets off if he gets too creative. Samoa Joe was a welcome addition to Raw, so naturally they got rid of him. Thankfully, there's a glimmer of hope on SmackDown thanks to the addition of Pat McAfee. The downside is there's no telling whether Vince McMahon will grind the former NFL star's performance down to the level of the other WWE announcers. Number 9. Corny comedy. For wrestling fans, there are few things as bad as trying to get a friend to check out wrestling only to have the WWE make its latest pitiful attempt at comedy. Whether it's Riddle riding around on his stupid scooter, The New Day throwing tomatoes at Elias and Jackson Riker, or Nia Jax falling on her ass when she's not potatoing opponents, there are plenty of reasons for potential fans to tune out and regular fans to turn red with embarrassment. They have enough trouble writing wrestling and should work on improving
but you gotta
the wrestling
understand
product
why
before
they do
trying
that, though.
comedy. It's next to impossible for wrestlers to pull off the comedy bits that DX, The Rock, and even Stone Cold Steve Austin pulled off during the Attitude Era, not so much because the product was PG-13, but because today's product is so heavily scripted. Number 10, Faith.
See, but the reason why they do the comedy stuff is to have their younger audience. You gotta remember, like, even me, when I first got introduced to WWE, bro, I was like 9 years old. You know what I'm saying? So to the little kids, stuff like that is funny. So they're doing that to entertain all levels of their audience. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like that as a complaint.
Promote television and pay-per-views. Is the WWE afraid to let fans know which matches to expect, otherwise risking fans tuning out before a Raw or a pay-per-view airs? Why else wouldn't the WWE promote television matches ahead of time? Fans like to know what's coming up on TV or pay-per-view rather than just tuning in and hoping for the best. Building up matches also makes the matches seem even more important because if they're getting behind them and the wrestlers are talking them up, there's a feeling they mean something. A part of the problem is that the WWE feels its pay-per-views largely sell themselves. The second is that Vince McMahon rewrites the WWE script so often that it's difficult, if not impossible, to announce a match when the WWE's head honcho decides to change things a minute before the show.
Alright, good video from WrestleMania. Some points on here I agreed with for sure. Other points I didn't necessarily agree with. Like the comedy one, I didn't agree with that. Ones that I did agree with, the feuds, they do keep doing the same feuds over and over again. Also, with some of the feuds, they show the same matches like 3 or 4 times, and then they have the big match at like a pay-per-view, and it happens the same way for every single feud. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely do think that WWE needs to get more creative when it comes to their feuds, but that's why I was saying, remember they were doing their little production type, the whole scripted type wrestling matches to where it was a production. I really liked that. It was creative and different. So I think that'll bring in some people as well. You feel me? But anyway, shout out to the gang. This is the last video I'm dropping today. More videos back tomorrow. I love y'all. See y'all next time. Peace.